This is Slim, and Slim had a negative experience with, well, really starting off. He's a rescue dog, and you can see he's got divots out of both of his ears, and these are bites from other dogs. And so he's had some tough times. But he's in a new loving home. He moved from California. You adopted him in California, and now he's back here in Nebraska. And when he was back here on a visit, he was trying to run out the door, and one of the guardian's parents that they were at his house tried to block him from running out the door because he doesn't come back very well, wanted to look out for his well-being, and ended up pinning him against the wall a little bit. After that, the dogs kind of developed, and that was in this house, correct? Dogs developed a little bit of some problem behavior. Now, unfortunately, Dad has passed on, and Mom is here, and he went after Mom and bit her in the back of the thigh when she was moving around. So I'm going to show you a technique here in a second that will help the dog feel a little bit more comfortable with her moving around. Now, I spend a lot of time off camera. When you have a dog that acts like this, a lot of times it's because it perceives itself to be a leader. He didn't have any rules. He was petted so much he really didn't have to ask for it. And so those are things that can confuse him to thinking he has more authority than he actually does. So I spent some time off camera giving the guardian some rules, not arbitrary rules, but rules that help the dog see them as being more an authority figure, but also help them act like a leader. So we can help him start to feel a little bit more relaxed instead of having cortisol in his blood and that twitchiness that he has at times. Now, when people get up unexpectedly and move around, especially when it's night, he tends to react more, which makes me question that he might have some issues with his eyes. He seems to have... he's blinking, the appropriate way. I am not a vet, so it'd be something if you talk to a vet will be able to help you out with that better than I do. But what we're going to do here is we're going to create some positive associations. Now, if you have a dog that doesn't like a particular person, a lot of people try to pet the dog and show I'm a good person. Well, we talked about that off camera. We don't want to do that. Now, grandma in this case is not doing that because he has nipped her at her and he growls and barks and gets a little rowdy if she moves around. But they have gone out for a couple of walks, which is something that that I would recommend. Now, when we're starting a walk, we want to make sure the dog is walking next to the people. For dogs, whoever's in front is perceived to be in charge. A lot of people let the dog go everywhere at once, and it's kind of spazzing out. There's lack of control. If you go to a restaurant, you don't let your kids just spaz out in the restaurant. You make them sit in the chair, and you teach them the proper manners. Well, a lot of us don't teach our dog proper manners. So if we haven't taught him leash skills, let me know after this video. We can go over some leash skills. But what we want to do is have the dog, or the person here, the dog here, and then the next person the dog's reacting to here. Now, if the dog is too reactive, is nipping at that person needs to keep on increasing the distance between them, but on the same lines, we're all parallel, nobody's in front, until the dog is able to relax. My indications are, will the dog sit, and will the dog take a treat? If it won't take one of those two things, then it's probably too close. So sometimes we walk far away, and then we kind of, I can't angle, well, here we go. We walk, and we kind of walk at a triangular sort of pattern. So we start off with enough distance for the dog to feel comfortable. Dogs get over things by literally moving forward. So we want to make sure the dog feels comfortable, start moving forward, and then we gradually start collapsing the distance until eventually the guest is here. Person, dog, person is my ideal situation, but in some situation you might have to have the dog on the other side. But eventually we want to get to the point where the dog can be in between the two people and the dog's walking next to them, relaxed. And eventually what you guys are doing right now is the guardians at some point hand the leash to Mom, and then Mom takes the leash. Now we're going to do that. We're going to do that off camera because this would be like a 28-minute video. But we're going to do a little bit of things, some things inside. Now, a couple other things that we can do is when I have a dog that has a problem, sometimes I look at removing a sense. So if I have a dog that's car sick, sometimes I might put it in a car and blindfold it and help it be just in the car with the car idling. So I want to try to reduce elements of the interaction until the dog feels comfortable in that one version of it. Then we add the next element and then the next one. We do it very gradually and help the dog practice and be successful. So in this case, what we might want to do is help the dog by teaching it loose leash manners so it's relaxed. But we can also help with the senses by maybe providing a little bit of positive association with Mom when Mom's not around. So a great way to do that is to bring over some of Slim's kibble and have Mom take the kibble and a little handful and rub it between her hands and put it in a little Ziploc bag. And then when he's at home all week long, he's getting the food and it has Mom's smell on it. He likes eating. He really likes eating, right? And so now this thing that he likes probably the most has now a Mom's scent on it. And so we're creating a positive association without the presence of Mom. I've done this a lot with dog. People are going to get a dog where I tell people, after you work out, take a washcloth and wipe your body down when it's sweaty, put it in a Ziploc bag, send it to the breeder, put the cloth down on the ground and put a treat on it. So the dog comes over and gets a little bit of sniff of you and a treat at the same time. I did this with my puppy. He knew who I was before I'd ever met him. As soon as I walked into the box, he knew exactly who I was. So that's another nice way to add a little bit of positive association. Now, the activity that we're going to go in this video, and this is a long setup to it, but I'd like the parents, the guardians, to try this a couple times each visit. And also, but the visit should start with a walk. So we start outside. The other reason the walk is good for dogs is because it's an outdoor environment, so there's a lot more room. And there's also distractions. There's sights, sounds, smells, and that puts the dog a little bit left of center. Instead of focusing on the person I'm fearful of or reactive to, oh, a squirrel, I would kick your butt if I wasn't on this leash, and rabbit, you're in the same boat, and I gotta pee on this. Oh, and she's here. So it's just one of many things. And dogs also get over things, like I said, by literally moving forward. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we'll see how the camera work goes on here. But basically, I'm gonna put him down on the ground. Now, because one of his reactivity, or he gets reactive if he gets surprised. So if mom were to stand up unexpectedly, he would probably growl and maybe even lunge a little bit. And in his mind, he thinks that he's in charge. That's why the enforcement of rules and structure is so beneficial, to help him adopt more of a follower's mindset. In this rest of this video, though, what we're going to do is we're going to show you the technique on how to help the dog have a positive association with the person moving around. So I'm going to go ahead and put him down, and you want to have your dog on a collar or a leash or whatever is comfortable for you. And let's put this in, and he's never had it evidently attached in the front, so he's a little bit off, but this is okay. Now I'm going to have one of his guardians is going to take the leash, and she's actually going to come and stand right over here. And you can go ahead and just film me for this part. Okay. And all right, so right over here, and you don't have to film it, but we have mom sitting, grandma, not yet. But mom is sitting right here, and I've given her some high value training treats. Now, before she moves, she's going to make sure she has the dog's attention. So we're going to go ahead and actually, when I ask you to, I'm going to have you close that particular blind, but not yet. And that's what we'll do the light, and that's why I said lighting might get interesting. So once you start moving, before you move, I'm going to have you do that. I'm going to go over and turn the lights on, then you'll close that. And you're going to basically, mom is going to cough first, and when the dog looks at her, she's going to stand, throw a treat right here. And then after she throws a treat, while he's going for it, she's going to just stand up. She's not going to take any steps, she's just going to stand. So preceding her movement, a treat falls from the sky. We let him get the treat, and we're using the leash, so he's not going to be able to get further than this point. So don't let him, and we don't want to pull him back, just we're not going to let the leash go any further than that. Mom's going to get up, and she's going to take 2 steps, and she's going to drop a treat right here. And then as she drops the treat as she's walking, then she's going to take 2 more steps and stop there. The guardian is going to lead Slim to this first treat. As soon as he takes it, the mom's going to drop another one when he's looking only, and then take 2 more steps. And we're going to walk and do a little bit of a circle. Again, what we want to do is we want to proceed, sit, a little passive training. Before the movement happens, a treat happens. I'm not caught by surprise, so I know what's going on, and she's paying me a tribute, essentially. And then as I follow her, treats fall from the sky. Well, I like it when getting treats, so now I'm having a positive association with her movement. All right, so let me go ahead and I'm going to, let me turn on the lights over. Is this one, the dimmer?
Slide it, yeah.
All right, go ahead and turn those, there you go. All right, so now I'm going to have, if you want to take a step, actually, why don't you take a step and go behind the chair, just so you can get an angle so you can see kind of what's going on there. And then you're going to follow them as they come around. Okay, so mom's going to go ahead and cough first. Go ahead and toss the treat. And now go ahead and stand up. Perfect. Now toss another treat a little bit behind him to get him back away a little bit. There you go. Take 1 step. Perfect. All right, now make sure you don't let him go any further. Toss another treat kind of in between him and the chair, and as soon as you do that, take a step towards me. There you go. And face me.
Okay.
There you go. Go ahead and drop a treat. Just drop it at your floor. There you go. And take 2 steps this way. And then go ahead and drop another treat. And then take 2 steps. And you're going to start following us behind whatever angle you need for that. And then go ahead and lead him to the next treat. Tap with your foot. A little bit more of a stomp. There you go. It's hard because the carpet here is the same color as the treat, and dogs are colorblind. All right, go ahead and drop another one. Make sure you cough. And I just say the cough to get the dog looking. Go ahead, as soon as he looks at you, make a sneeze.
Achoo!
Take a half step forward.
Achoo!
Drop it. and go ahead and take a step. And then drop it, take a step. And keep following. And you're going to go back and sit down in your original seat. And make sure when we're doing this, and I would have a couple things. So if you can't find, we want to have make sure that we keep about 2 steps between. So if he doesn't find the treat, I like the fact that we're doing that, but I would rather have her, whoever the handler is, points out where the treat is, because he's already a little bit uncertain for you. Drop one more treat, and then go ahead and grab a seat here. And you can probably come over here now. Because I almost fell down. Do you have any treats left?
No, just some crumbs.
All right. So now I'm going to have you with your with this hand. Go ahead and take it and just hold your hand down like that, and just hold it there, and just keep it there, and just leave him there, and just take a step closer. Drop the leash, and then you can grab a seat in our cameraman's chair, and then if you want to go and grab a seat right over there and keep filming, and you can film me at this point. And yeah, just ignore. He's staring a little bit. So I'm offering some treats down on the floor. He was just kind of staring at her. And then the last little bit, we want him to fully move away. Now he's getting the treat that she dropped. Come. Now, when I started the session, I set this up. I was taking a treat, tearing it in half, and tossing a treat. At first, every time he looked at her, I would drop a treat at his foot. So all I did, I look at her, and this is what we call and I'm going to have you just lean back on the couch slowly and just relax. Just ignore him. We call this a conditioned emotional response. So at first, the dog looks at something, and the treat falls. I give the treat, and I look at it again, and a treat falls. So we're just doing, like I talked about earlier, one sense. I look, and a treat comes. Then after a while, what we do is we hold the object up, and the dog will come and lean towards it. Then we drop a treat. So now it starts moving towards it. Doesn't touch it, but moves a little bit towards it. Eventually, we make the dog touch it with his nose or its paw. And we just do this very progressively and very gradual. Now, if you can actually stand up, you can shoot him a little bit. Oh, there we go, sit. Okay, you can grab a seat again. He was kind of staring at her, not necessarily in a bad way, but he was just kind of looking, are you having more treats for me? And he loves treats, so it's a good positive motivator. Now, what I'd like grandma to do, or mom to have, sorry, I keep on saying grandma, is to have something like this so we can have a whole bunch of treats. I like these because you can actually clip it on your belt, but you can open it up and you have easy access and close it when you start moving around. If he smells that mom always has treats on her, he could be paying out at any time, or she can. And so I'm going to be on my best behavior because I want to get some of those treats. Now, if he comes over near her and sits down, she would drop a treat. If he comes and lays down next to her, again, we're going to drop a treat. At this point, he's walking towards her, and if my timing was a little bit better, I'm going to leave it open, I would have thrown a treat over towards, so when I approach her, good things happen. When I take a treat off, I can come take a treat off her feet. When she gets up, treats just fall from the sky. This woman is just the treat maven. Why did I have a problem with her? Every time she does anything, I get the best treats I've ever had. Now, we use a leash here because the dog will get aroused the more they move around. If he's moving around bouncing, then he would stop and just wait. And then somebody else would collect him and move him away. There we go. So he sat down, and I dropped a treat over his head. He had to approach her. He gets the treat. He's looking at her. He's kind of lingering. Backed up a step and sat down again. And another treat falls. Now, it seems like we're just throwing treats at him, and that's what we are at this stage. Now, to summarize, what I'd like to have happen is work on the loose leash training that I'm going to show you guys off camera. So he's used to walking next to us. And that's something you do independent of mom. And then when we come over to mom, we'd like to have mom meet outside and then go for just a walk around the block. So before he even comes inside, we go for a walk. Now, at first, like I said, mom might have to be in the street or in the grass, and we're going to walk and gradually get closer. Now, as we practice these walks, we should get closer and closer. Eventually, you'll be able to start off right next to each other without any problem. What we'd like to do is get to some place on the walk where he's comfortable when he's walking when we're all walking together, and then the guardian hands mom the leash, and we continue the walk together. The next step is we'd like to start moving that closer and closer to the start of the walk. But again, don't rush it. Go at the dog's pace. Eventually, we get to the point where you can start off doing it right at the beginning of the walk. And then what we're going to do is we're going to walk maybe 2 or 3 houses or at the end of the block or whatever, and then the guardian is going to stop, and mom is going to take the dog for the rest of the walk on its own. Now, at first, it might be halfway through the walk or 3/4 of the way walk, and the guardian might want to kind of. Now, the problem, I would say maybe follow. We might have the other guardian sitting in a car on that block. So if there's a problem, there's somebody that can come and help. I don't think that's going to be the case. But I want the dog to develop a relationship with mom independent of the guardians. And I just hit him in the head when I threw that one. But eventually, now there's no guardians around. It's just me and mom. And now I'm having a good relationship with mom. She's taking me out on walks. I like going for walks with her. Treats fall from the sky, so it might happen all the time. And now, because we have the distractions of the walk and the outdoor environment, that helps. That combined with the scent, combined with the rules, combined with the structure, petting with a purpose, passive training, all these things are going to help him adopt more of a follower's mindset and make him think it's inappropriate for me to correct mom because this is mom's house and I'm a follower. She's a leader. Now, the last little thing that I do is something I call the long walk, and this is something I'll probably talk to you guys about on the when we're doing the loose leash training. But what I do is once I get the dog stop lurching and just start not pulling on the leash, then I actually start getting the dog to pay attention to me on the leash. And what I do is I walk and I take no more than 5 steps. And then when I stop, I tell the dog to sit. Sit. And then I take 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 steps and then stop again. So a dog never knows where I'm going to stop, but I never take more than 5 steps. Now, when we go on a walk, we're thinking about the duration. I'm going to the lake, I'm going here, or I'm going to walk for 20 minutes, and the dog doesn't help or doesn't cooperate, we get frustrated with the dog. Well, for the long walk, we're just going really around the block. The goal is to get as many sits as possible. Now, right now, the dog's walking and looking around, what else can I get into? After a while, if you're stopping and sitting, and every time I sit, I get a treat, I'm going to start paying attention to you. When you stop, I'm going to sit down automatically anticipating getting that treat. Now the dog is paying attention to the person instead of the environment. And the dog is also learning to adopt a more passive behavior, sitting down, which is a more subordinate position. And it's doing it eventually with, first of all, with the guardians, but eventually with mom's walking the dog. So he has practice listening to mom, sitting down, and which is a more subordinate position, and getting a reward for doing that. Now, the last little thing, I'll talk about this in Roadmap to Success, but he only knows 2 commands. And it's hard for him to have much self-esteem if he only knows 2 commands. So I'd like the guardians to try to teach him some new tricks and commands. And when we get to the point where you feel comfortable enough, it'd be nice if mom could actually teach him a trick or command under the guidance of maybe one of the guardians as well. So now she's seen as somebody who's educating him as well. Just like us, we have a mentor. We usually, hopefully, have respect for our mentor because they're helping us become a better person, or in this case, a better dog. So if going to grandma's or mom's house means that I'm going to get a treat and learn a new skill, well, that's another way we can boost his self-esteem and help him stop being reactive. Here, buddy. Well, I'm out here, but luckily I have a bag full of treats. I have what we would call a plethora. That's what Jefe says. Or El Guapo, I guess, is the guy's name. Yes, come here. I want to put you up on my lap so we can end this video. So these are Slim, and these are some tips and tricks you can use to help a dog feel comfortable around someone that they're a little bit nervous or maybe reactive to.